Welcome. What an amazing day ahead of us. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to get more clients? Do you wish you could charge clients what you're really worth? Wouldn't it be great if prospects could just see how different you are from the competition?
Yes.
You answered yes. Oh, yeah. My guest is already replying. If you answered yes, you will be glad you're here today. And if you didn't, you might be in serious denial. Our guest today co-founded her first business a few years out of her teens and quickly turned it into a seven-figure creative firm without ever pitching an idea before getting hired. She's one of North America's top small business influencers, a TEDx speaker, and a fitness fanatic, from being an avid yogi to deadlifting over 250 pounds. Can you imagine that? Wow, that's awesome. So helping us brand from the inside out to be the first, the best, or the only, please join me in welcoming from lovely British Columbia, brand builder, best-selling author, and motorcycle lover, Isabelle Mercier Turcotte. Welcome, Isabelle. I'm so happy to have you here today.
You're welcome. I am thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a great day ahead of us. I have a privilege still, to be in your program, and I have to tell you, it's fantastic. It's such a quality program. It's helping me right now with my business, with my rebranding. But what I really value with all the quality work that you've put into this is you, who you are. You are really all in. You're serving your clients. You give it all. And your feedback is so valuable. And the way you care for clients. And I have to tell you, it's awesome. I don't meet lots of people like this, and I am in awe, seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely put everything I have, everything I am, and everything I do. And I'm not, if I said that on any regular day, people could go, well, everybody could say that about themselves. But the fact that we don't know each other, we just met.
Yeah.
You're in my Built to Rock program. You're doing well, by the way, and I want to congratulate you. And for me, it's important. I don't do anything half-assed, to my detriment sometimes. But it's important to me to provide a crap load of value at whatever level of clients that I have, and that's how I treat everything I do.
Yeah, and it's really fantastic. So tell me, Isabelle, how did you start with this? I mean, where is your ethics, your drive coming from? Just the work that you're doing, and in such an awesome way that you're doing it.
Well, thank you, by the way. Thank you for that. My dad was a radio talk show host and a TV talk show host, and my mom was a hairdresser. Now, my dad has passed away now, but my mom is still alive, and we're really good friends. In fact, she was in the TEDx audience when I did my TEDx talk, which talked about my mom in it. Actually, there was a story there. So a lot of who I am and who I've become is a result of having had great parents who taught me valuable lessons early. For example, generosity was a huge, as you mentioned, I'm very generous with my feedback and with my time. And, the Q&A calls on the Built to Rock program, they're scheduled to be an hour. Often I'm there an hour and a half to help, right? So the generosity came in when I was young, and my mom, around the Easter period, we're Quebecers, so we're all Catholic. And my mom said, Isabelle, let's tell me what your favorite toy is. And I would tell her the favorite toy. And then I would have to give it away. I would have to pick my favorite toy and actually go to a home where there was less fortunate children. And I would have to, it wasn't a have to, it was a I want to, but initially it was a have to. And I was not happy with giving. I was actually trying to say, oh, this is my favorite toy. And she'd be like, I don't think so. I've never seen you played with that. So the whole goal of that was to part with one thing that I absolutely love, to give it to someone who need it most and who would be thrilled to have it. And so that started with that. And of course, I was bullied as a child, and my mom had said, hey, Isabelle, if you can't say no to what you don't want, you'll never be able to have the time and the energy for what you do have, what you do want. Yes. And it really struck me. It really stayed with me. And I became obsessed, like I talk about in my TED Talk. I became obsessed with what drives people to experience more peace of mind and what drives worry. But all of that, to not go too far in this discussion, in which we will, but maybe at a later date, at a little time in the interview. The question was, where does your ethics come from? Mm-hmm. Well, they come from my mom, my dad, the family that surrounded me. We're very close with our family members, aunts and uncles. And a lot of my family members are entrepreneurs. And I grew up at my mom's hairdresser salon serving. I was of service very early in my life. So I couldn't wait to go back after school. I couldn't wait to go back to my mom's salon so I could have great talks with her clients, and I could draw new haircuts and hairstyles. And I remember being in that salon in my diapers, telling stories and loving it, So yeah, I started early.
That's awesome. So how did this leap happen then, from you being in that hair salon and now being these brand strategists? And how did that happen?
Well, first of all, I started as a dancer. My life, I worked in hair because I worked with my mom in her hair salon and I loved it. But working in hair is very hard. It's hard on the back. You're standing all the time, and it's like 16-hour days standing on your feet. And because I had done it my mom needed me, and I had done it so many years already. By the time I was 18, 19, I had already had a hairdresser career, and I was done with it. So I was a dancer, and I was also an artist. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I started as a graphic designer in the business, but I was a dancer, and I broke a leg early on in an unfortunate accident, and so it forced me to rethink. I couldn't dance anymore at the time. It took a good 5-6 years to get that leg to get back to normal. So I was forced to make a decision as to oh my God, my life is over. What am I going to do? And in school, how anyways, in Quebec, there's orientation, and there's people that help you orient yourself in the career path that you're going to take. Mm-hmm. And I had applied to go to Sainte-Foy College in Quebec to be a graphic designer. And there was a bad news and a good news. The orientation person, I don't remember his name, but he said to me, Isabelle, there's a good news and a bad news. I said, well, can we start with the bad news and then end with the good news? He said, hey, listen, you were accepted in the program. I said, well, that has to be the good news. So he goes, but there's only one spot available, and there's 2 of you here in the school that have been accepted. And I thought, oh, I'm seeing him coming. I'm like, oh, he's going to want me to give my spot. And that's what I wanted. He said, Isabelle, the other person is not as gifted as you. You are gifted in a multitude. And that didn't mean she wasn't good. She was extremely gifted, but at graphic design. I was extremely gifted at a multitude of different things. So he said, I would, with your permission, I would love to give this other student the spot in this college in graphic design. And I would like to offer you a spot in a private school that will help you dabble into a ton of different disciplines in the arts. And so that's what I ended up doing. And it was a pivotal moment in my life because I get bored easily. I like to be bombarded with a whole bunch of different things to learn. I ended up creating a business in graphic design, a 7-figure business in graphic design nonetheless. And this other person chose to not even do that in the end. However, I ended up doing what I loved, and I grew it to much greater heights as a result of being multidisciplinary, and as a result of not having gone into one particular discipline. See how life goes?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. It's incredible. And by the way, boredom, it's, with creative people, we get bored easily, right?
Yeah.
It's always, there has to be something new, something we can create. And so,
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that.
Totally. And so the one thing that I want to add to that is I went to scenography. So after dance and after all of that, I went to get a bachelor's degree in scenography, which is set design and special effects for movie and theater.
Wow.
And why that was a pivotal move for me as well is in my artistry, in my design ability, I've designed sales centers as a result of that. Because my training was in three-dimensional spaces, I was able to take my graphic design business to new heights and have a key differentiator, which was not just two-dimensional, but was three-dimensional as well. So things like pre-selling buildings that are coming up and designing the sales center and everything from the look and feel of the building, the design, not the architecture of it, but the naming and the branding of the building, all the way to the marketing direction, to the actual sales center. I would never have been able to do that had I not broken a leg, basically.
And that's where blessings come from, right?
Yeah.
Quite often we think it's a misery, it's an accident, whatever, but that's where really the story begins, actually.
And in fact, my mom has always said to me, she's a mature, bright, she must be an old soul. She said to me early, because I thought my life was over. I was a dancer and I was on my way to New York to have a dance career. And she said, "This does not happen to you, Isabelle. This is happening for you." Mm-hmm. And every time something happens in my life that I despise or that I love, I now think, this is happening for me. What is it that I need to learn from it? That was also a pivotal learning that my mom, now, it wasn't like, oh yeah, Mom, I understand. No, I'm not happy. When someone says, this is happening for you, I go, this is not fun. Don't tell me that right now. I'm pissed. But then it ponders and then you go, oh, awesome. Thank you for that.
But that is so true. And I wish everybody would understand what you just said right now. It's happening for you. Mm-hmm. It's not happening to you. And when you take that kind of stand in life, everything goes much better. It's not easy. It's still not easy, right? You still have to work through it, but you go into it with different understanding.
But it's easy. It's not easy, but it becomes easier because of that understanding. If I'm aware that there's a gem in here for me, mm-hmm. and my goal is to get it, you get that I approach this challenge from a completely different point of view, as opposed to being like, why is this happening to me? I can't believe, what did I do to deserve this? And then I go, okay, yeah, what is the learning here? What do I need to learn from this? Should I have said no to this? Now I will know. Maybe this is a no next time, right? So there's lots of, it doesn't make it easy, but it certainly makes it easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And you talk about worrying about zero tolerance policy.
Yes.
What is that? Can you explain more?
Totally. I've been in business and helping business owners and corporations for 25 years. It's been a long time already. Mm. So, and in these 25 years, I've noticed that people worry a lot. In fact, North Americans, 40% of what we worry about will never happen. Yeah. 30% of what we worry about has already happened. Total waste of time and energy. Mm-hmm. 12% of what we worry about is needless worries about our health. You have a headache for 3 days in a row and suddenly you think you have a brain tumor. Mm-hmm. And 10% of what we worry about is petty, total miscellaneous things like, what are we going to cook for dinner and what am I going to wear for this meeting? And a lot of energy goes into that. That leaves 8% for legitimate worries. The rest, the 92% is complete nonsense. Mm-hmm. And that nonsense actually stops people from living their life. I have a friend that's never gone anywhere because she's afraid of flying. She's worried that she's going to die of a plane crash. Mm-hmm. But as a result, she's not living her life fully, right? So, and I've noticed over the years of working with people, I've been able to link worry directly to tolerating. So what you tolerate, basically, you will end up worrying about it, period. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you with 100% confidence that every single thing that you worry about can be traced back to something that you're tolerating. So instead of trying to diminish worry, which is very hard to do, it's like, well, try to diminish angst. It's like, well, it's there, you know. If you look at your life and if you list everything that you're tolerating, from people to things, it could be as small as tolerating your car being upside down and dirty. Like it could be, you know, I remember going in the fridge and the Brita always being empty when I needed it. I mean, that's just annoying. But every time I go into the fridge and I go, oh, God, again, that's a vibrational change that puts me in a bad mood. It gets me to be annoyed, and then it gets me to make poor decisions. Or it could be something as big as you're tolerating a client that's not paying you on time, or, you know, people who are sucking your energy dry. Like it could be a variety of things that you're tolerating. But I know if you're tolerating being 20 pounds overweight, you are tolerating not doing what it takes to be in control of that. And I'm not talking about people who might have, you know, medical issues. I'm talking about, and in fact, I was interviewing a few doctors recently, and they concur with me that health issues all start with one thing or a few things that you're actually tolerating in your life. Mm-hmm. Like tolerating you making poor food decisions, tolerating you making poor or lack of physical activity decisions. That all stems from that. So it's a question of, I'm all about building, living, and operating your life by design, not by default. Mm-hmm. And that means that everything I do gets funneled into, is this thing a hell yes? If it's not a hell yes, that it's a hell no. I don't live in the middle zone. I'm like that with everything I own. Whatever comes into my house and into my life has to be a hell yes. Otherwise, it's not even making it. It's not going to make it in. Even my closet. If sometimes I'm trying a pair of jeans at the store, and the not the waitress, but the person that's out, the salesperson will say, oh, hey, you look really good in those jeans. I've been looking at you, and I don't know what the hesitation is. When I go, yeah, I know my bum looks good in those jeans, thank you. I'm not debating buying those jeans. I'm debating what I'm going to get rid of if I buy those jeans. Because there's a rule in my life and in my house that if I bring something in, something has to go. Because there is so much storage space that we have. I operate with space. I know that I operate better with space. Physical space and also time space. So if I take on a new project, I need to pause something else in my life so that I don't go freak out and have absolutely no time left in my life for the things that are important. Am I perfect at that? No. Do I know where my true north is, and do I know how to snap back when I'm out of bound? Yes. So it's all about looking at what you're tolerating to start diminishing your worry and to start increasing your peace of mind. And with more peace of mind and more time and more fun, life becomes a heck of a lot more fun and on purpose, right? A lot of people live their life by default. And I don't know how they can manage that. And that's what creates cancer. Mm-hmm. That's what creates unhappiness and a lack of money and lack of spark, lack of joy.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And worries are literally killing our head space as well, right? We're so occupied in our heads. You can't be creative. You can't do much. So thanks for sharing this. I love this zero tolerance policy, and I'm definitely going to take a look into my life. Where am I allowing something? I hope few listeners are going to do the same thing, because this is one of the best advices I've ever got about how to not worry. I really love it, Isabelle. So let's switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
You made me aware of one fact that I didn't know before, and thank goodness I didn't, because I think it made me maybe more successful in my business because I wasn't aware of it. However, it's so alarming, and I think majority of people lives that way, that we have to touch base on it. Why is it that only 6% of all small business owners ever make it to six figures? I think this is such an alarming number.
It is an alarming number, and my vision and purpose and mission in life is to change that stat. It's to better that stat. Small business owners are really, really good. First of all, most small business owners are actually self-employed. Let's start with that. A lot of people say they have a business or they're a business owner, but in truth, they're self-employed. Having a small business means that it can run without you. A business is an entity, you are a different entity. So if you were to leave for a month and nothing would happen, you are self-employed. Call it however you want. Internally, for yourself, you're self-employed. Most small business owners and self-employed people are extremely good at their craft. So that's the good news. The good news is they're good. They're great graphic designers, great coaches, great cooks, great whatever it is that they do, whether it's a product or a service that helps make life better. They're really good at that. What they are not good at is understanding the ingredients that it takes to actually build a business and build a life that is worth living, that is worth operating. And what they don't know and what they don't have is a brand and a business architecture. They operate by default, not by design. It always comes back to that. And what happens is they're unclear about their foundation, meaning, so the first ingredient of a brand and a business architecture. So let's compare that to a house. Okay. So would you start, if you wanted to build a house, would you start by hammering 2x4s together? No, you wouldn't.
No.
You would go, let's plan for what that house is going to look like. How many bedrooms do I need? Do I need a second kitchen? Do I want a spa? Do I need a mudroom? Like, you wouldn't go, I need a house. Cool. I'm good at baking pies, but the business is a house now. I'm going to start hammering 2x4s together. No. So, but unfortunately, this is what happens. People think they're very good at baking pies. Therefore, they can make a pie making business. Two different skills altogether. I'm not saying that if you're great at baking pies, you cannot run a business. I'm not saying that. I'm saying most likely you do not know what it takes, and most likely this is what's going to happen. And this is 97% of all small business owners end up there. So they start their business because they want more flexibility, more freedom. They want to be able to create more impact, and they want to be able to generate more money their way. That's why they start a business. They want more flexibility. What happens is they end up being overworked, overwhelmed, and completely undervalued. Yeah. And that is because they don't have their brand and business architecture in place. First ingredient is the foundation. If you were to build a house, you would have to start the foundation. The foundation is what you wholeheartedly believe in. It's your brand foundation. It's who you are, what you do, what makes you different, who you want to help, how your business and product makes life better, and why should people care. If you don't understand that and you can't articulate that in an intelligent way, intelligent, not, I don't mean good marketable way. I mean in a way that your ideal clients are going to listen, you are leaving so much money on the table, which means that you are working way too hard for way too little money. So that's the first ingredient. And then there's 4 other ingredients, including systems and procedures, right? What you are willing and not willing to do to get from here to there. How you're going to train your employees one day, even though you don't have any right now, or you might not have any right now. So what are some of there's 8 key processes that a business needs or a small business owner needs, and you're lucky, well, no, you're fortunate, Milena, because you're going to learn all of this in the Build to Rock program.
Yes, I agree.
There's a pre-qualifying process. If you don't pre-qualify your clients and your prospects early on with an intelligent way, you are going to spend so much time getting new clients that it's going to kill you to begin with. Mm-hmm. Then you need to have a qualifying process. So pre-qualifying, qualifying. Then you need to have an onboarding process. Then you need to have a completion process, a renewal process. You need to have a nurture process, right? There are processes that you need to have in place. And by processes, I don't mean boring system, blah. No, I mean a way for you to start automating things, a way for you to understand and craft the experience that you want to provide to your clients and for your clients and to your employees and for your employees. And understanding that and knowing that creates a lot of freedom. It creates time for you to actually do what you're best at doing, because most small business owners are so busy dealing with things that they shouldn't actually be dealing with, that they lose their spark for what they're really, really good at. And their business ends up killing them before it actually makes it big. Does that make sense?
Oh my God, yes. It makes a lot of sense. So how do business owner, how can someone nail down their competitive edge? Like, and truly, even their messaging, what they're about, how do they get to that place?
This is precisely why I created Build to Rock, because, I work with larger corporations and they have the means and, the money and the time and the employees to actually go through this, which I call the Leap Zone elevator process. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, there's a method to this madness. And small business owners did not have the right mentorship, did not have the right tools and the right processes and knowledge in place in order to succeed. So basically, this is why only 6% reach six figures, because so many of them they don't know what it looks like and feels like to have a business that's engineered to succeed.
Yes.
Bigger businesses do know that because they're at a certain place. It's much easier to manage and lead a 7-figure business than it is a 6-figure business. And it's much easier to lead a 6-figure business than an under 6-figure business. So if one of your listeners is working really, really hard to generate $75,000 a year, know that it's because you're not clear about what you stand for, what makes you different. And there's so many items that are missing in what you're doing, because at the mid 6-figure, it's way easier than at the early 75,000. But you cannot operate a 7-figure business the way you would a mid 6-figure business. And you cannot operate a 6-figure business the way you would a $50,000 business. And those key ingredients are vital. And that's why I created Build to Rock, because I thought, wow, nobody is serving the small business community in a way that is making sense. It's not by having an online funnel that you're going to suddenly be able to reach 6-figure. Is a funnel important to this whole equation? Yes, but it's one tiny part of the equation. So I created Build to Rock to be able to give that information and personally coach, because there's a one-on-one call in this program every week. And mainly it's video, a beautiful, obviously you know it because you're in the program. It's intelligently designed, obviously. I'm a designer and a brand builder. If that wasn't the case, I would be.
That shows, by the way, in all presentation you do. I've never seen anything so creative, so well put together. It's like, wow, I'm like, I want to have that. Seriously.
Yeah, thank you. And some people actually go into this program and become a member of this program just to actually see how I've delivered it and how I've created it so that they can create their own. And of course, they learn a ton in the middle of this. So for those of you who are listening, who would love to know more about Build to Rock, this is not a sales pitch here. Sorry about that. So I live on a farm. I live on an equestrian estate, and we have a rule that when someone is down at the stable, I have a walkie-talkie because it's dangerous. You know, you never know what can happen. So that's what you heard just now. Sorry about that. What I was saying is, this is by application. This is a program by application only. When you apply, you will answer a few questions. I will personally read your application. I will connect with you to clarify a few things to ensure that this program is the right program for you. And most importantly, it's an affordable program. Everybody that is serious about taking their business and their life to a whole new level, and a level of purpose, a level of impact, and a level of profitability, then this program is definitely absolutely affordable. And it's not only intelligent, but it's a joy to go through. So I would be happy to assess to see if this program is the right one for you.
And you know what, I'd like to elaborate a little bit on this one. I know we didn't plan this ahead of time, just so you know, listeners, this was not planned, but no. I have to say this. If you're serious about your business, you want to check out Built to Rock program. I've got so much out of it, and I've only got through the first 3 modules so far. I'm going to go through the 4th one today, actually. But oh my God, clarity, clarity, clarity. And I think every business owner needs that. So if you're really serious, if you feel stuck, go for it. And as I said, this was not planned to be.
No.
But I think it's so valuable.
You just said something that you said clarity, clarity, clarity. With clarity comes confidence. With confidence come amazing opportunities, ideal opportunities, and profitability, right? Clarity happens to be my brand promise. So my brand promise at Leap Zone is we provide clarity, pivotal shifts, and momentum. This happened to be the 3 things that I excel at, and it happens to be the 3 ingredients, the 3 things that small business owners lack and need the most and want the most. Yeah. So by being clear on my brand promise, I can actually engage people more, work better with people. So you'll understand this as well when you have your brand promise in place, when everything is in place in your brand foundation. Wings, magic happens. It's absolutely incredible. And all small business owners, they all leave. If you don't know what makes you different, and what makes you different cannot be quality. It cannot be that you're the best coach at this. Nobody can rely on that. It has to be something way more proprietary to you and way more tangible and packageable. But for all of you out there, if you cannot clearly tell someone, if I said to you, why would I choose you, Milena, instead of someone else who, to my eyes, does the same thing as you do? If you can't answer that clearly and intelligently to get people to go, oh my God, it's a no-brainer, I would prefer to work with you rather than anyone else, regardless of price, then at minimum, you are leaving $25,000 per year on the table. Yeah. So just to go through the Built to Rock program, which is, my God, way not even in the premise of 25,000. You will for sure generate over time, at minimum, in addition, $25,000, because that's what that ingredient allows you to do. So it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you speak in this program as well, but also on other occasions, I've heard you speak about, do not speak to the whole jungle.
Yes. Oh, that's one of the biggest mistakes that small business owners make, actually, is, and I hear this all the time. Who's your ideal client? Small business owners who want to take their business to the next level, let's say. That is like the entire population. Like, nobody understands that. No, I mean, they know who they are, but so I'll give you an example. There's a chiropractor in one of the BNI's meeting that I used to go to years ago. And this chiropractor got up every Wednesday lunch and said, I am Bob, the chiropractor, and this week I'm looking for anyone with a spine. And, he got a giggle, everybody laughed, everybody loved Bob. Bob is awesome. Yeah. But Bob didn't really get any referrals, and I was tired of looking at this and seeing the bleeding artery that was. So I went to see Bob and I said, Bob, humor me for a minute. I said, what do you love to treat? Oh, I treat all kinds of issues. I know you treat 75,000 body issues. I get it. But what do you love to treat most? He says, I love to treat whiplash. I said, okay. Next week, humor me and say, I'm Bob, the chiropractor, and I want referrals. I want you to introduce me to people that have experienced whiplash in the last 6 months. Well, he got 15 referrals that week.
Wow.
So, proving my point, if you say anybody with a spine, you are now speaking to the whole jungle. Would you agree that lions have different problems than giraffes?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you say, hey, jungle, I know what your problem is, and you don't actually say what the problem is, and I have a solution for you, and it's not really a solution that they understand because most people speak at an expert level, not as a 7th grader level. What happens is a whole bunch of noise. It's noise, and nobody really listens. But if I said, hey, lions, I know what your problem is. I know that you need to feed your cubs every bloody day. In fact, 6 times a day. And in order to do that, you need to go out and work hard every night exhaustingly to get some food, right? Is that what the problem is? Yes, it is. Then you go, I have a solution that actually stores. You go out once a week and it stores a whole bunch of food for you and your cubs for the entire week. If I told you that this existed, would you want to know about it?
Absolutely.
Well, of course they would say yes. First, you've acknowledged that you understand their problem and you have an intelligent solution for that problem. Now, is it the same problem than the giraffes? No, not quite. But will you attract giraffes? Would some giraffes go, hey, what's the kerfuffle here? I'd like to know what the hell this is going on. Yes, you might attract a few giraffes, and that's awesome. And it's your prerogative to say yes or no to the giraffes. But if you want to work with lions, then learn the lion lingo, learn the lion problem, discover, create innovations for lions. And believe me, you attracting the right lions is way better than you speaking to the whole jungle and working so hard to attract maybe 2-3 people who, by the way, you're going to have to convince to sell. When you speak to the whole jungle, there's a lot of convincing to happen. And that's hard. Does that make sense?
Oh my God, so much sense. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I think that clarifies it a lot for a lot of people out there, right?
Yeah, and most people say to me, yeah, but I don't want to limit myself. You are limiting yourself by casting a wide net. It is better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. And right now, if you say all small business owner, you are setting yourself up to be a small fish in a big pond, and that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with this, and I've experienced that in my business as well. You really need to go narrowing down to who you are and is your target market, who's your audience.
And that doesn't mean that you have to be that one thing for these one people for the rest of your life. I'll give you a better example for that. Built to Rock. This program, it is for all small business owners. For sure it is. But I would promote this program to graphic designers differently than I would to accountants. Mm-hmm. They don't have the same problems. They have some commonalities in the same problems because they're small business owners. But graphic designers have different logical top of mind problems than bookkeepers and accountants. I will lead them to the same program, but I will talk to them differently. So you can have, what I'm saying is you can have the same program promoted in 5 different ways to 5 different people, but you cannot have one brochure talking about all of your programs at once, is my point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. It makes sense. Before we have to leave here, I have to ask you one more question. Mm-hmm. Your TEDx talk, what is it about?
Well, it's about the power of zero tolerance, actually. So perfect for what we just talked about earlier in the interview. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it is gonna hit you like a ton of bricks positively. So if you want to live a life of by design rather than by default. If you want to reduce worry and increase peace of mind, I highly recommend that you go watch. And I'm sure that you can, Milena, you can probably put the link to that TED Talk somewhere around this interview. And I want to say, did you watch it live as it happened, or you just watched the recording?
I haven't watched it live. No.
I have the flubbed version. I have to say, I actually screwed up in the delivery of this TED Talk 3 times and it was, I worked 7 months for that precise problem never to happen. I did not want to miss, where I was in that, because this is a learned talk. TED Talks are not spur of the moment. They're learned word for word. And I missed my spot. I lost my spot basically three times. And I'm so glad this happened. This is a perfect experience, a perfect example of this happened for me, not to me. And I'm a stronger speaker as a result of it today. You're not going to see that in the recorded version, obviously, because they've edited that out. But I had 3,000 people in front of me being totally supportive, absolutely amazing. And the way I dealt with it was a true testament to who I am at the core. And it was just such an amazing experience. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Everybody go watch that TEDx talk.
Yes. Thank you.
So Isabelle, where can our listeners find you and learn more about you?
Absolutely. You can go to leapzonestrategies.com. On there, you can actually find a direct link to my TEDx talk as well. And you can find a link to my Build to Rock program. And all you need to do is apply. Even if you just want a conversation with me, the best way to do that is to apply for the Build to Rock program. And if you think you're a little bit of a larger, if you have 5 employees and above, and you would like to either explore Build to Rock or explore possibly working with me one-on-one, go to leapzonestrategies.com and click on Needs Assessment. It's going to allow you to tell me a little bit more about you, and it will give me the information that I need. That is my pre-qualifying process, right? Mm-hmm. It'll give me the information that I need to book an initial call with you and to be impactful right away in that initial call with you.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. You shared so many amazing things today with us. I'm really happy to have you here. And it's been wonderful. I think you have so much to share. We could be here for another hour or 2.
We could, every time I get interviewed, people say always, we could have a series together.
I know. It just, I know because I've heard you speak. I know what you're doing, and definitely. So I'm really, really happy that you were here with us today and sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge, because I know it's going to be very helpful for many, many people out there.
My pleasure. And just remember that if you can't say no to what you don't want, you'll never have the time and the energy for what you do want.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Isabelle.
You're welcome.